Good morning, everyone. Don't forget to use your chat button if you have any questions. And today we have Andrew Bates of SBM Life Science Corporation.
Hey, good morning, Pam. Thanks for having me on today. First off, I want to apologize to everybody. I caught my daughter's cold, so I'll be a little hoarse today, it sounds like. But let's get into a few products that I want to talk about for this season. And if you have any questions or if you're having a hard time hearing me, don't hesitate to hop off mute, let me know, or type a question right into that chat box there like Pam mentioned. So without further ado, my name is Andrew Bates, and I'm with SBM Life Science Corporation. You might know us as we used to be called Bayer Advanced. So about 3 years back, we were bought by a company, SBM Life Science, out of Europe, one of the largest plant and garden product manufacturers in Europe. And since then, we've been a little bit busy. We bought a new headquarters in Cary, North Carolina. We opened up a few new formulation labs because we were not a part of Bayer anymore. We had to bring our R&D people over and give them a place to work. We purchased a couple of processing and manufacturing plants, again, not a part of Bayer, so we had to make our own product. And here we are today. We actually have gotten to a point now, we're in our brand transition phase, where most of you probably already seen this. The Bayer Advanced is heading away, and the Bio Advanced will be the new name of the blue bottle going forward. And we also brought out a few other products as well in the past year, or brands, I should say. The Natria, our natural or non-synthetic product line, and our new plant food line, Nutri-One. So we've been very, very busy in the background, and hopefully, you haven't noticed that in the field. And, our products are still going to be the same. That's why I'm going to talk about some of the ones that are pretty popular for you guys in the spring that help a lot of your customers out with common bug problems and weed problems going forward. So, a little bit about us as far as product-wise, we bring to the market for your customers. We usually want to bring something out that's innovative, something that no one else has, something that can really set the bar higher and give you a better product altogether to offer to your customers. We've been doing that since 2000 with our rose and flower products, onto tree and shrub, becoming the category leaders in both of those, with accounting for about 85% of sales from both of those two product categories. And from then, we've kept rolling on with other product lines you might recognize or see in your shelves today. So, one of them that almost every retailer I walk into today, unless you're in Connecticut, Maryland, or Long Island, has on the shelf is Tree and Shrub Protect and Feed. And this product we brought out back in the early 2000s, and it has still been a category leader. The idea behind this product is it's a systemic insecticide with a fertilizer. And systemic, what that means basically gets taken up through the trees or the plant's vascular tissue and distributed evenly out to all the different leaves. So basically you mix it up in a bucket of water, or if you're using the granular version, you put it at the base of the plant. This is really important where you apply it. You actually apply it right where the trunk meets the ground. And I can't emphasize that enough. We have a lot of customers that are familiar with fertilizers, and they want to go out to that drip line at the outer edge of the tree, but no, this is an insecticide. And we need to have it right up by the crown roots, right at the base of that tree where it hits the soil. So you mix this up in a bucket of water, drench it at the base of the tree, fill it up with one more bucket of water. If it's the granules, mix it into the soil, water it in, and then it gets absorbed up into the tree. And it does take about 1 to 2 days to rise a foot of height in the tree or shrub. So you need to really factor that in. That's why we have a lot of our customers, or I guess at the end of the day, your customers, using this product in April, early May, before the insects have came out to feed on those plants, insects like the Japanese beetle, emerald ash borer, tent caterpillars, gypsy moths. We control all of those pests. We control them for a year, but the trick is to get out there early before they start doing the damage, because otherwise, if you wait till June, July, August, September, you can treat still, but it just may not be. You're going to have to wait a little while to see those results, and likely damage may have already been done to that tree. So with this product line in particular, it is unique. There isn't quite a formulation like it out there. We don't just have imidacloprid in here. We have clethodim, and that's what gives us the ability to go after gypsy moths and other caterpillar-like insects. Imidacloprid on its own, like some of our competitors have, will not go after caterpillars, and that's a very important distinction. I bring this product up because we do have a couple of regional pests that have been starting to catch some attention, especially in Northeast, that the Northeast. For any of you in the South, you probably started to hear about it. It's moving down there. Up in the Northeast, going towards New England, you're probably going to get this pest in a few years, but it's called the spotted lanternfly. An invasive insect came into the United States a few years back in southeast PA. It was imported on basically stone material like stone pavers and seating that was imported from Southeast Asia. So when I got here, basically it found that there was a lot of trees for it to nibble on. This particular tree that it likes the best is the tree of heaven, and apparently there was a good plush pocket of it in Southeast PA. This pest was able to grow, mate, and now it's on a full-fledged rampage. Really, this pest eats all sorts of plants, nibbles on them. It really prefers this tree of heaven, which really not a lot of people have that anymore, but at the end of the day, we do see a lot of damage possibly coming from grapes, hops, and it also eats a lot of hardwood trees as well. It's the adult that does the nibbling on the leaves, not so much the larvae. And I'll back up here. This is the life cycle of this pest. Basically, October to June, it's in this egg. It kind of looks like a putty. I'll see if I can show you a picture right here. Kind of looks like gray silly putty, and it usually lays that egg mass on to smooth surfaces, so trees with smooth bark, rocks, the sides of buildings, or even vehicle underframes. It's why it's really encouraged if you're a traveling rep to get out and look at your vehicle for anything like this. Once they hatch out, though, they usually show up around May, June. They move just like the brown stink bug move, that really slow crawl that they do. These things just do not move very quickly, and they don't fly very far either. But lots of them can hatch out from those egg masses. And when it does get into an area, typically what will happen at the retail level, you're going to have maybe a handful of customers come in the first year that have, maybe seen this pest. By the second year, it'll explode. You'll usually see a huge population increase. And come June, July, August, customers are wanting to know what they can do for their trees. So treating your trees with a imidacloprid drench, something Penn State Ag recommends could take care of or can help control this adult. There's other insecticides as well that are out there, plus sprays. But the issue with sprays, like I think everybody knows on the call here, is that you are spraying up and above with an insecticide. You have the possibility that it's going to drench back onto you. Not to mention, you only spray and cover what you've actually hit with that insecticide. With a drench like ours, you can get it up and throughout the entire tree. It's very easy to do, and it's cheap, too. I mean, if you have somebody come out, a professional, do this and tap your tree and try to treat it, it could be a couple $100. And, if a dead tree needs to be removed, we usually estimate that to be about $1,000 to take out a new tree, take out an old dead tree, and I think come back in and replant a new one. We're looking at about $1,000. So in the grand scheme of things, it's a cheaper alternative. Tell your customers, especially right now, to be out scouting for pest damage. They can see any damage on the trunk, or when the leaves are coming back on, here in the spring, if there's any trees that are slow to bring their leaves back out, or you notice half the tree's missing some of its leaves, it's a good indicator last fall something was attacking the tree. So another regional pest that tree and shrubs wildly important about is hemlock woolly adelgid. At the bottom left of this, you can actually see what this pest looks like. It looks like little Q-tip balls on the hemlock needles. The first time I'd heard about it when I moved out here, a customer came up to me and actually described this to the T and said, he has a pine tree. It turned out it was a hemlock tree in his lawn, and they had little white dots on it. And he suspected it was the hemlock. So I looked it up. Sure enough, that's what it was. This is really important. With the hemlock woolly adelgid, actually the best time to treat the tree is in the fall. So contrary to what I said earlier, with 99% of the time you want to get out and treat in the springtime, with the hemlock woolly adelgid, your best option is to treat in the fall when those adelgids are on there actively feeding from that tree. I think typically in the spring, summer, they're not present. So, if you do treat in the spring, there will be carryover levels of this tree and shrub protectant feed in the tree come fall, but typically we recommend fall application for this one. And then lastly, the gypsy moth. This is another one, very, very important bug up here in the Northeast, or really across the United States. That's widespread. It does a lot of damage, and because it is a caterpillar at its larval stage that does all the damage, tree and shrub protectant feed can be recommended for this. So the gypsy moth, here's what it looks like. The larvae does a lot of the feeding, the top left. Just looks like a caterpillar. Typically there's 5 to 6 pair of blue dots on the back, I believe, if you want to try to identify it. And that does all the damage. Really the actual moths themselves aren't, they do some, but not as much as the larvae. And here's what the defoliation looks like. I mean, they strip these trees clean. Again, and referencing back to all these regional pests, you scout your lawn from last fall. You can get on the regional pest websites, like a Penn State Extension office, look through there if there's any regional pest alerts. Go to your local county ag office to see if any of these bugs exist, or if there's anything new in the area that you should be worried about. But if your neighbors have it, it's easier to just assume. If your neighbors have it, there isn't some invisible fence. It'll eventually get to your lawn. So treat the trees you want to preserve or are identified as these host trees. With the gypsy moth, they eat a lot of different things. And write it out until that pest presence is no longer active in your area or is aggressive. I'm going to touch on rose and flower care next. Again, a lot of these products in here use our systemic technology, meaning they can be put on at the base of the plant and sucked up inside the tree, or in this case, the rose and flower. With rose and flower care, there's actually a few different techniques, though, that I want to go over. And the first one might be a little bit counterintuitive. It's actually grub control. So really the one I want to pick on here, the Japanese beetle. I'm sure a lot of people on the phone realize this. The Japanese beetle in its larval stage is actually a white grub. And that white grub spends most of its life eating your lawn. So if you have Japanese beetle issues in your lawn, it's a good idea to go out and scout and see if you have grub presence. And you can do that by looking for brown patches similar to the front of the bag. It's a really easy, honestly, it's a really easy way to show the customers this. If you've got a brown patch, you've got either 3 things. You've got fungus, grubs, or a dog being in your lawn. I could say I could help you for one of those problems with grub control. The other 2, we've got fungus control and the dog bees, just a different story. But with the grub control product, if you establish that you have grubs out in your lawn by consensus, you go out there, you look at that brown patch, you dig it up a little bit, and you see there's 6 to 10 grubs around that area, treat your lawn for grubs. What that's going to do is going to help to knock down the population of adult beetles that hatch out. In this case, the Japanese beetle, we're looking at that one. But there are other beetles that feed on plants that are grubs as well. And it's going to help to knock that population down. So the best time to come out and treat for grubs typically is going to be in the fall. It's when they're newly hatched out, the grubs are. Those adult beetles that came out in the summer, they ate, they mated, they laid their eggs in the soil. And in the fall, those new young grubs are going to be closer to the surface, actively eating, and that's when we ask you to come out and use 24-hour grub control or grub killer. And you'll start to see results within 24 hours at full depth in a week after you've treated your lawn. This is really like a shock treatment for your lawn. It goes after all sorts of insects, not just grubs, ants, fleas, and ticks. It's pretty versatile. If you find yourself having inventory that you want to move, you can also recommend it for those pests. There is another application window that you can use, and it is in the spring. Those grubs have overwintered coming out of the fall, and in the springtime they come back up and they start eating your lawn and working their way up to the top. So if you get out there typically before Mother's Day and do an application of 24-hour grub control or grub killer, you've got a good shot of knocking off any of the grubs that you might have missed last season or if you didn't treat. One thing I can't strongly say enough is the traps that people are selling, the beetle traps, please don't use those. Or if you're going to use them, put them in like the back corner of your neighbor's lawn, because what ends up happening, you're only killing enough beetles that can get stuck in that trap. But that pheromone doesn't just immediately stop. So what ends up happening is you're actually attracting the beetles into your lawn, and they're going to start eating on your plants, and then mating and laying their eggs. So I always encourage people, if you want to use beetle traps, that's fine. Just if you have a neighbor you don't like, go put it down in their lawn, because then that'll hopefully take care of it from there. But, the scenario is now that you possibly have some beetles or other bugs chewing on your roses and flowers. And you might have used grub control, you might not have, but the beetles and those pests are there now. We have a couple of products designed to help with this that are all systemic, meaning they get sucked up inside the plant. You apply it at the base. Again, put it near where the trunk or the stem meets the actual ground. And it gets sucked up inside and taken out all the leaves, and it'll remain there for up to 6 weeks. So basically, Look at this like your flu shot. Do this before you get sick. Put it down usually Mother's Day, because the pest presence hasn't quite started yet. That'll be there in the summer, and this will already be in your plant, protecting it from the inside out. All-in-one rose and flower care is a fertilizer, insecticide, and disease control. It is systemic, and the insect control lasts for up to 6 weeks. The disease control, if you've had issues with black spot, powdery mildew, rust, and other diseases, you can put this down early, like I mentioned, May, and treat, and then come back in 6 weeks and treat again to keep your plants from getting inoculated with that disease in the first place. It is preventative. It's meant to keep your plants from getting sick. It's not the end all. You might have to do a few spot treatments if you miss some areas, but very versatile. And you want to put this down early. We have it in the granule as well. In the granule version, I should say this, in Connecticut and Maryland, we do have a formulation available for you now. If you're looking for something without disease control aspects, we do have the 2-in-1 rose and flower care, which just has the imidacloprid. It does give you that systemic activity. And we do have that available as well, too, for Connecticut, Maryland, and our Long Island customers. This controls just the insects, but doesn't have the disease control properties. It still fertilizes, and it does last for about 8 weeks. The formulation for Connecticut, Maryland, and Long Island is a 6-week formulation, but either way, you're going to see better results if you use it prior to the infestation. Now, this is one of my favorite products. I recommend this all the time. 3-in-1 insect disease and mite control. If your customers are coming in and they just don't know what's on their plant is getting riddled with bites, there's disease, there's something going on, they can't figure out what it is, they didn't treat for grubs, they've got a bad issue with beetles now, or their neighbors didn't treat, or they didn't use the all-in-one rose and flower care 2-in-1 as a preventative. This is their Swiss Army knife. This is meant to let them come out in their lawn, spray that plant that's being affected with disease or mite damage or insect control, and it'll stop the damage in its tracks. It's going to take care of all those insects. It does last for about 30 days. It does get absorbed into the plant tissue, and it is a miticide. It's important to note on here as well. It has that taufluvinite that gives it the mite control properties that the systemic products don't have. Every retailer really should have this on their shelf come June, because if you have an associate that's new, or even yourself, and this happens all the time, customer brings in a baggie of a bug or pictures of leaf damage, and I can't identify what it is. I just don't recognize it. This is my go-to product. 9 times out of 10, this will take care of what the problem is, unless it's a cultural issue where the plant was put in incorrectly or needs fertilizer. This is usually going to be my go-to, especially in the summertime. So if you have new associates that don't know lawn and garden well, you can feel comfortable putting them with this product, with a little bit of knowledge, have them read the label, and they can make those recommendations to your customers. One thing I do want to call out on this is, because it is a spray insecticide, like with any insecticide, pay attention to when pollinators are present. You just want to make sure you're avoiding any of your beneficial insects. Spray in the evening time. Try to avoid open blossoms. Really pay attention to that. It made sense that from rose and flower care, which we are the category leader in, 90% of the products in those blue bottles account for national sales of rose and flower care products. That's all the other brands that are out there and manufacturers. Our BioAdvance brand accounts for 90% of the rose and flower care products sold. So it made sense that we wanted to get into the business of plant food. It was a common step forward. We felt we could advance that bar and build a product line with our partnership with SBM and bring it to the United States and bring out basically a one-of-a-kind plant food. Nutri-One all-purpose plant food is new to the United States, but it's actually one of the #1 products out in Europe. So it's been around a while over there and well developed. And it does a few different things for your plants. So it actually improves the way the plants use light. It improves its growth, and it improves the root development. And it does all this by causing the plant to overproduce, it's called chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what helps with photosynthesis. It helps to make the sugars that the plant needs to survive. When you treat our plants, the plants with our Nutri-One, you're putting down, and then PK, but you're also putting down a proprietary ingredient that helps to cause the plants to produce more chlorophyll. More chlorophyll means that it can use more sunlight to make more sugars and store those sugars in the roots. Because there's extra sugars, the roots need to be bigger, so it makes the plant grow bigger roots. Well, now you have bigger roots. well, the rest of the plant will correspondingly grow and become bigger because of that. What also happens with this, like I mentioned, it improves light use. It'll allow plants to go into a shadier area, like maybe on a front porch that gets a little less sunlight than typically you would get in full sun, maybe in a part sun area, and continue to grow, thrive, and blossom, because now there's more chlorophyll that can do the photosynthesis that it would do in normal sunlight environments with less. And we see some really good results. We're not just pushing green shoots on this plant, causing it to not blossom. In our geranium trials, we were seeing, an average geranium putting out 1.5 blossoms. And after being treated with ours, we were able to get 15.4 blossoms. It's a 1,500% increase for those of you that were doing the math at home. For the diameter of the plant, 12 weeks after planting, and with this product, you need to use it every 2 weeks, we saw an increase in the diameter of 208% over untreated. And the height of the plant overall, we saw 110% increase in the height of the overall plant versus untreated after those 12 weeks. Versus our leading competitor in the plant food category, they have a particular green and yellow bottle. I'm not going to say it here, but I think you all know who it is, the leading plant food competitor. We did some side-by-side trials on roses, miniature roses. And our Nutri-One Essence, which is basically a fine granular, versus their competing granular, we saw, looks like double the growth plus more blossoms. The Essence, again, against, this is an aerial view now from the top. You can see that it's just a fuller all-around plant. Now, the granular product, this is an 8-pound granular. This really caused some excellent results down here. This plant practically grew out of a pot versus the granular. And then the top view, you can see it's just a much fuller plant. We have it available in a liquid, which can be diluted right down into a watering can, or it can be top-dressed onto the plant and watered in afterwards. Honestly, the liquid is a little bit easier to get into the plant. It's already dissolved. You don't have to worry about the granules taking a little bit of time to dissolve, and it's an even feed. This 33-ounce bottle covers about 384 8-inch pots. It's a lot of coverage. And I think it's cheap, too. The SRP is somewhere around $10, depending on what you want to market at. Every retailer is different, but you can typically see this one being eye-popping for most customers when I tell them how much the coverage is and how cheap it usually can be. The Essence version of it, which again is just a fine powder, that's about 10.6 ounces. That can cover 432 pots. And the 8-pound big boy bag, 8.8 pounds, it can treat 800 8-inch pots. And again, you're treating every 2 weeks during spring and summer, and then as the sunlight diminishes in fall and winter. For the indoor plants that you want to try to use this on, you can use it on indoor, you can use it on vegetables, shrubs, and whatever else. You need to taper back to every 4 weeks, and it says that right on the packaging. This is a year-round food. We see some excellent results on this product, and it can be used on everything. So again, it's the same people that brought out all your rose and flower care products and tree and shrub products. We felt we have the reputation. We think we can come into this category swinging and really give you something unique to sell to your customers. And for the sake of time here, because I want to open up to questions, I am going to go through the Natria product line really briefly. Natria is our new non-synthetic product line that we brought out to try to bridge the efficacy gap that exists. The efficacy gap that we see is customers want to try naturals. We see a lot of that. They're using it in their everyday life. They're using it in their foods, their pet foods. They even use it with vegetable gardening. But when it comes to the other products, like insect control and weed control, your customers typically shy away from naturals because they're worried there's a gap, an efficacy gap. It may not work as well. And we set out to do that. So we brought out 2 herbicides this year in our new green Natria packaging to convey to customers, and this is that non-synthetic product line. And we felt these herbicides can do what the synthetic products on the shelf already do, but give your customers that non-synthetic approach. And the first one I'm really excited about is our grass and weed control with root kill. This is a ammoniated soap of fatty acid that is a top kill. Within 15 minutes, you'll start to see that death. But here's the really fun part. You'll notice it on the packaging. We have root kill called out. We use an active ingredient called maleic hydrazide that gives you that root kill properties. And what this is, it's a food-grade preservative that all of you probably came in contact with it very often. It's used on potatoes and onions. in the supermarkets to keep them from sprouting roots. And we put that in our product. So when you spray, let's say, a dandelion, this gets taken down into the root and keeps that rootstock from coming back alive after you've killed the top growth and sprouting. You can use this in vegetable gardens, you can use this in walkways and driveways, and you can replant within 5 days. That's a really unique product. The big thing about it is that root kill claim and giving it that natural, non-synthetic aspect that we think your customers are looking for. The other product we brought out is lawn weed and disease control. This is chelated iron. You're going to see control of weeds like creeping Charlie and dandelions. You can come out and apply this to your lawn and get wide control of broadleaf weeds. Again, you're going to see results within 15 to 20 minutes. You're going to start to see some dieback. And one of the really neat things about both these products, I forgot to mention, is they can be used down to 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So you've got an earlier application window to come out there and spray when those weeds are young, but you can also use it on the big weeds if you haven't had a chance to do that. I was speaking to a customer a few weeks back, and they brought this particular item in, this Natria lawn weed and disease control. And one of the big benefits about it they told me about that they liked was the disease control aspect, being called out on the front. It's kind of that all-in-one pitch. And because we can grow after dollar spot and rust and other diseases in the lawn and broadleaf weeds, they felt this was a great addition to their category. So both of these new items we brought out in this green packaging, you'll start to see the green packaging flow in. We brought it out this past fall, so we did have a little bit of inventory of the old blue bottles, but this will start to flow in, and we're really excited about those items and what they can offer your customers on the shelf. Last product I'm just going to touch on as of closing remarks here. We brought out a weed and feed. I know a lot of people on the call and my customers have heard about this product. It's all-in-one weed and feed for northern lawns. This is a product that kills crabgrass, kills broadleaf weeds, all post-emergent, meaning this is your step 2 plus. It does all the things of a step 2, all the things of a turf builder, but it also kills crabgrass after it's emerged. It's not designed to be a pre-emergent. So you can still have your customers buy the 4-step program, try to put down their step 1. If they miss that application, though, and they need something specifically for crabgrass, but they want to fertilize, this is their best bet. This is a great solution for them. So we did bring this product out, plus a bunch of other unique fertilizer products like triple action lawn fertilizer. And both of these have our microfeed in there, which is good bacteria. It's Bacillus subtilis. And this is becoming more and more popular in the crop science industry, using bacteria to get the plants to harness nutrients in the soil better than just straight throwing nitrogen down, hoping for the best. So we do have some trial pictures on here if you want to look at these. These slides will be available on YouTube. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me through Arett, and for the distributor reps on there, you can reach out to me directly if you want to. For the retailers, reach out to your reps. They'll be able to get us in touch.
So thank you very much, Andrew. And as you mentioned, this will be out on the Arett YouTube channel probably within a week.